What's up, everyone? My name is Kendall Key, and I am the creator of the Recovery Meth podcast. This podcast was created to share my journey of recovery, faith, and life with all of y'all that will listen in hopes to inspire and entice some self-reflection. And I hope to do that. All right, so in episode 4, we spoke about recognizing a need for closure for 3 incomplete relationships that had been affecting me and had a huge impact on my life, and for the most part, I didn't even recognize that because I had buried it so far within myself. And I guess I just coped with it. I learned to live with it until recent events, in my life, they started to come back out. So in episode 5, I want to talk about how I found closure. So closure and how I found it. It was really interesting because a week after that episode, I actually took a drive out to Payson, Arizona. It was peaceful is the best way I can describe it. The views are absolutely amazing. I love being out in nature, just all the trees. And, I found a spot. That was isolated away from the main highway and had an amazing view. And I knew of this spot because we had actually shot a music video there. It was meaningful to me. What better place to find that peace and that closure by revisiting a place that has meaning to me. I sat there, and for the longest time, I just sat in silence. I sat in silence because it was so peaceful, just hearing the birds, the wind would blow every now and then, whistling through the trees, and it was pure bliss. The way that I started to begin was, I just started shouting out to God. Like, you know what I need right now. And I was like, I don't know how to find it. And something told me to pray. So I did. I just closed my eyes. And I started praying, And on top of that, I said, dear God, you know what I need before I do, and I need to find some closure. These are people that I have loved and I'm holding on to, and I know they need to find their peace, but I need mine as well. I just started kind of like praying to them almost, and I said, you know what, I know they're there in heaven with you. I do. So you know what, Mom, I just said what I needed to say, like it was directed to her, like she was right there. And ultimately, I just told her that it wasn't because of me and the choices that I had made that you passed away, that ultimately it was beyond my control, and at the end it was cancer that you passed away from. It was God's plan. I just needed to let that go. And I guess, that's some guilt. Episode 4 kind of explains a little bit of that guilt that I was holding on to. I finally let that go. And I moved down my list, I shouted out to my homie Keena. I was like, dude, I miss you, dude. Like, I miss you so much, You're my best friend. And it's like, I still think about you from time to time. And, I just apologized. I apologize for us going to the lake. I was going to the lake that night when others around us told us not to, yet we go. I just asked for his forgiveness and I forgave myself, because at that moment I accepted that it was an accident, that there was nothing more that I could have done to have prevented that. There was absolutely nothing more. It was just an accident. And again, I leave it up to God. I leave it up to God and his timing. And then, I moved on to my homie Alex. Alex is somebody that, I just couldn't believe like he passed away, just because, me caught up in my addiction. Again, I didn't see a dead body. I didn't see him in a hospital. I didn't see him in no ambulance. But you know what? I came to peace with that. And it was something that, was just heartfelt. I just told him, I said, man, you already know I miss you. It's like so much is going on in my life. And I just wish that you were right here, because at this moment, there's nobody else in my life that I want to share this with. There's nobody somebody else that I want to tell everything that's going on in my life. And I said, you know what, but I gotta let you go. I gotta let you go. You know, I know that you're always with me. I know you will always be with me. At that moment, I accepted his passing. I accepted that he has gone up to heaven. And again, even though the worldly me needed that visualization, I needed to see it to believe it. You know, exactly that. I need to see it to believe it. And since I wasn't able to see it, I didn't believe it for the longest time. But you know what? I came to acceptance with that at that moment. And with all three of them, you know, I just told them, God has you in heaven, but I'll always have you in my heart. And that's some real talk right there, because I always will. You know, there's plenty of moments in my life that come up when I wish they were here. I wish they were here. There's plenty of moments when I daydream, like, you know what, I wonder what we would be doing right now if this person was still around, or if this person was here right now, you know, like all the possibilities. Like, man, I don't understand why we didn't get clean sooner. Like, we could have done this together. Like, just imagine what our lives would be like. You know, that's just something that I daydream about from time to time, but I do my best not to get caught up in it. It's still something nice to think about. Like, it truly is. At that moment, you know, I just smoked a cigarette because I am a smoker. But when I opened my eyes, like, the world was bright again. And it was just so amazing. And it's like, I think one of the significant things was I seen an eagle just kind of like hover literally right in front of my view. And it swooped by 3 times and then it flew off. And to me, that was significant to me, because it's like, you know what? Hey, I just found closure for 3 relationships in my life that I needed to let go of. I took it as that. I left my peace there at that mountain because it was such a peaceful place. You know, what better place to leave my peace than there on that rock with an amazing view? That's how I found my closure. I felt like a burden had just been lifted from me. And I just felt not empty, but one thing that I did was, okay, so I dug those up and I just left them out there. Like, I gave that away. So you know what? I had this empty space to fill. So in my prayer, I also prayed and I asked God, I said, you know what? Now there's this void in me. Now there's this empty space. I pray that I'm willing and I'm able to accept the Holy Spirit in. I want to accept your love, your kindness, all of that into my life to fill that space. You know, I don't want to fill it with negativity. I don't want to fill it with hate or anything like that, you know. So I just prayed that I was able to accept that would come into my life and fill that void, so I can continue down this journey, so I can continue to grow, so I can continue to do my best to help others who are struggling with their substance abuse, just struggling in life with some encouragement, you know. That was the way that I found closure, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Like, all of this transpired during a time in my life and in my recovery and in my spiritual walk where I had established a solid foundation. Like, you know, because all of the emotions that were coming up, they were just so wild. They took me left, they took me right, they took me up, they took me 6 feet under, and it was just so chaotic. And again, I did everything I could to hold on to my sanity, even though the times I thought I was going crazy. Like, I am just so thankful that I was able to get through it. I truly do believe, like, you know, again, God's plan, God's timing, you know, this needed to come up. I needed to heal from this. At this moment in my life, I was ready for it. Like, I was ready for all of this to transpire and to finally have the maturity and strength to be able to let it go, to recognize it. And, you know, I'm thankful that I was able to do that. You know, it's just been an amazing process. There was no better time than that moment for me to get through it all, especially in my recovery. You know, I believe it was detrimental in my recovery because to me, recovery isn't only living a life without substances, without the use of mind-altering substances. Nah, like, you know, for me, it's deeper than that. To me, like, recovery is finding a new way of living better, changing up your lifestyle, creating new lifestyles for yourself, for your betterment. Because in all honesty, when I was out on the streets, I didn't give two flying F's about, my health, about eating right, about work. All I cared about was my drugs, and that was it. As long as I had that, I was fine. The days I didn't, I was pissed off. So recovery has just taught me a lot, and I just want to be able to continue down this path, continue down this journey, and share my experience and my weaknesses, and talk about how I'm able to overcome that, in hopes that it will inspire somebody who may be going through the same thing. Because I truly do believe, just hearing somebody out, or hearing how somebody is getting through what's happening in their life, could have a ripple effect of inspiration and encouragement. And ultimately, in a world like that's what we need right now. And along with that peace and closure comes news, because life wouldn't have it any other way. Absolutely not. I got news last weekend that my cousin was in the hospital. And my cousin, he's a remarkable young man. He truly is. He turned his life over to Jesus, and he too himself is in recovery. He has been doing really great. He's been doing amazing. But I find out that he's in the hospital. Ultimately what they had said was he fell into a seizure and stopped breathing for some time, which stopped the airflow to his brain. So when he got to the hospital, his organs had begun to shut down and there was no brain activity. His mom, my aunt, drove 6-7 hours into the night just to get here to Phoenix, Arizona, and be with her son. My family came together and I joined them at the hospital, and come to find, he had no brain activity. And I went in there, and it was just so hurtful. It was so painful just to see him there with the machines keeping him alive. I did what I could. At that moment, all I knew was to pray. So I literally fell on my knees and I poured it out. I don't know the best way to describe it, but the selfish me was like, you know what? Come back. Wherever you are, come back here, because your mom needs you. Your mom needs you right now, dude. Just come back. I was praying for that. I was praying for his healing, praying that, a miracle would take place. But then at the same time, midway into that prayer, I paused and I said, God's plan. So you know what? I just actually ended up praying, you know what, dude, wherever you are, I know where you are. I know where you are. I know you're with God. I know you're with Jesus. I know you're with our family that has passed away. I know you're with my mom. Stay there. Stay there. You've already done so much, and you've already accomplished so much in this lifetime. You've already inspired people that you were in recovery with. You've inspired people when you would share during the meetings. You've done so much, dude. Just stay where you're at. You know what? But I pray that you come and haunt your mom's dreams. Just let her know that you made it there. I don't know. It was kind of a conflicting prayer, because like I said, the worldly me was like, come back, yes, there's going to be some healing. Yes, there's going to be a miracle. And then I paused and I said, no, you know what? You're exactly where you need to be. That this is happening as planned. On September 13th, his mom had to make the difficult decision to take him off life support. And because he was an organ donor, the hospital actually did an honorary walk for him, taking him out of ICU, walking him into the operating room. His mother had actually asked me to record it, and at the same time I felt kind of odd doing so, but I respected her wishes. The rest of the family wasn't allowed to go all the way. It was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking because they said, we would be able to go all the way up to this red line. And, it was just heartbreaking just to hear a mother say her goodbyes. That's the last time that she's gonna see him breathing. And, I'm just standing there, and it's even looking behind lenses, looking through the camera, it was so heartbreaking. I just prayed. I prayed and I prayed and I prayed. I just prayed for her healing, for her comfort. because I already know where my cousin is. I already know where he is, and I find comfort in that. And I just pray that my auntie finds that comfort that she needs as well, and that peace. For those of you that are listening, I ask you for your prayers for my auntie, for my family, for my cousin's loved ones. I know they could really use it right now. So at this time, I would also like to have a moment of silence for the individuals who have lost their life during their struggle with substance abuse, or for those individuals who have found recovery but still lost their lives too soon. So if you would join me, let's have a moment of silence for them. Thank you for that. If you asked me August 26, 2019, what a life sober, clean would look like, I would have absolutely no idea what that would look like. I would not have an idea of how to answer that. Honestly, what recovery looks like for me has been wild. It has been interesting. It's not all rainbows and butterflies and you're on that pink cloud for the rest of your life. It's nothing like that. Recovery is growing. I'm growing as a person. What it looks like for me is I am finding character defects within myself. I'm finding out about myself. You know what? I am finding who I am, who I truly am, and who that person looks like. I don't have a clue, but I can tell you in all honesty that I am loving every minute and every moment that I am able to uncover pieces of myself. This past season of my life has just been absolutely amazing. It's been painfully beautiful just because it uncovered so much. And yet, no matter how much I was confused or how much, I didn't think I would be able to get through it, I still made it through it. And most of all, I made it through like a normal person. I don't know why I said normal, because I don't even know what that looks like, but I made it through the best that I could have, and I think the key word there is I made it through. I'm still getting through these moments that life throws at me, because you know what? I know that if I'm still alive, then God's not done with me yet, that He has plans for me. And what that looks like, I don't know, but I will do my best to keep becoming the best person of my abilities. I want to be better than I was yesterday. Do I fall short? Absolutely. But you know what? This is a learning process. Life is a learning process. All of my mistakes, all of my pain, all of my sorrow, all of my heartbreak, all of that has helped molded me into the kind and loving person that I am today. It has built my character, and it's still shaping me into who I need to become. And it has just been an amazing journey. There's been so many highs, there's been so many lows. I remember my 3-year chip, just getting that. Again, this should be a moment of celebration of heck yes, I did it. I'm on top of the world. But no, for some odd reason, it was the complete opposite. It brought up and dug up a lot of emotions. When I got my 2-year and my 1 year, no, that was a whole nother story. But for the longest time, I had been complacent. I just found a comfortable position in my life. And, it took one individual coming into my life to wake me back up, to bring all this to life. And it's it's just absolutely amazing. Recovery to me is just me being able to uncover who I truly am and who I am meant to be. I'm enjoying every moment of it. Yes, there's pain. Yes, there's struggles. Yes, there's times that I'm stressed out. On the flip side of that, I'm going through all of that sober. On the flip side of that, I've driven to Mexico several times just because I could, just because I wanted to. I've gone to California. I've gone to Las Vegas several times. I do road trips. I go hiking often. And it's just beautiful. Life is just beyond beautiful, and it gets me to think, why didn't I do this sooner? But on that, that's not up to me to decide. I do my best to what scripture says, lean not on your own understanding. And that is something that I struggle with, that is coming to light, is because you know what? I want to understand everything. I want to figure everything out. I want to know why this is happening. I want to know why I feel like this. I want to do all of that. And it's like the more I do that, the more I drive myself crazy. And I've done that for so long, and that is something that I am struggling with. And during this season of my life, it's uncovering that you know what, I still need to learn to let that go. I just need to wholeheartedly trust in God, because his understanding is beyond mine. His thoughts are beyond mine. Yes, I will drive myself crazy trying to figure everything out. But you know what? The days that I am absolute in my connection with God, those are the days I am just serenity and bliss. And it's like, you know what? No matter what the world throws at me, I know that I'm going to get through this because I am trusting wholeheartedly. That has gotten me through a lot of situations. I need to practice that more because, I'm still new in my recovery and I'm still figuring things out about myself. But I am enjoying every moment of it. Again, I am a little over 3 years clean and sober. I give all glory and praise to God for this journey because it has been absolutely amazing. This podcast was created just to share my experience, my strengths, my hope, but also my weaknesses, my struggles, the things that I'm going through, just so whoever is listening will not feel alone, because I know how it feels to feel alone. I know how it feels to feel like no one understands you. And, just to hear somebody put themselves out there, you know what? I give thanks and glory to God for giving me the courage to be able to share my story, share my life and the things that I'm going through, allowing me to be vulnerable. And it's kind of frightening, but, it's also comforting at the same time because I know it serves a higher purpose. And, I am very excited and I'm very happy to do that. Just to know that this podcast has reached one person and has inspired one person, has encouraged one person, that is quite possibly the ultimate gift out of this. And again, recovery has been absolutely amazing. There's struggles, there's hurt, but there's also triumphs, there's also peace, there's also bliss, there's also serenity. There's a lot of moments that happen in my life that I can remember because I'm not under the influence of something. There are moments in my life that I will always remember just because they've been so enjoyable. Again, I'm just figuring myself out. So if there's anything that this journey has led me up to, it's uncovering pieces of my life that I still need to work on, because for quite some time I did believe and I did fool myself that I had everything figured out. But no, that's far from the truth, and this just kind of woke me up to be like, you know what, there's a lot more work to be done. I am working on myself. So it has been absolutely amazing. So I encourage you, no matter what season of your life that you're in right now, that you keep looking for ways that you could be better than yesterday. How were you yesterday? Were you depressed? Were you sad? Were you happy? Were you on top of the world? Whatever it may have been. How could you be better tomorrow? That's something to think about. We should always be doing our best to improve ourselves for our betterment. Not only for that, but so that way we could help encourage others. Because once our cup is filled with all that positivity and encouragement and inspiration and all that goodness, it overflows. So why not let that overflow and share that with others and shine some light into somebody else's darkness? Ultimately, I think that's where kindness and that's where hope comes from, is just being able to shine a little bit of light into somebody's darkness. So how could you be better than yesterday? That's something you can reflect on. For all of y'all, I just want to say thank you for being a part of this journey. Again, my name is Kendall Key, and I want to say thank you for joining me for the Recovering Meth podcast. Deuces.